My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, and this review will have spoilers, so that's your warning. But this movie has only a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that to me is pure insanity. Just utterly baffling. This movie is far, far better than that, and I could go off, but I'm not going to. I just think this movie is great and criminally underrated. Guy Ritchie is doing some of his best work here. This movie is so well directed, and I love how much personality he gives this movie. It's very slick, it's very stylish, and that slow motion forest scene is just incredible. I love that moment. I also think the action is really good here, and I like how he smartly subverts your expectations a few times with it. I also think the time period is brought to life so perfectly. I think the sets, the costumes, just all look fantastic. The music by Hans Zimmer is great. Is it anything new here? Does it just sound like the last movie soundtrack? Yes, it does. I wish he maybe had a few new pieces of music here, but my goodness, I'll never not get pumped up whenever I hear the do 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 do. It's so good. I love it. It is one of the most underrated movie themes of the past couple decades. I also think the comedy in this movie really works. It never detracts from anything going on. And the movie's like 2 hours and 10 minutes, but it just flies by. It is a very well paced movie with lots of energy. So, directing wise, Guy Ritchie just knocks it out of the park here. And I do like the story being told. The entire plot of Moriarty trying to cause a war so he can profit off of it, I think is very interesting. And I like how we get that rivalry between Sherlock and Moriarty. It makes things a bit more compelling, especially when Moriarty is going after the people that Sherlock cares about. It gives this movie more weight, especially with Irene's death. I like how deeply it affects Sherlock, but how he just kind of plays it off. He views his grief as a distraction, so he just kind of wipes it aside, but you can see how much it actually hurts him. Only in a few scenes, but I like how quiet the emotion is. And I also do like how we see how Watson genuinely cares for Sherlock. There's a few times where, he thinks Sherlock is dead, and it really affects him. And I also like how Holmes goes out of his way to make sure that Moriarty would leave Watson and his wife alone. And in the end of the movie, when we get the chess game, which is a great sequence, I love that entire section. And then we get Sherlock talking about his fight with Moriarty and how his shoulders are going to cause him to be weak. And then Moriarty does the exact same thing, and both of them have the same conclusion. So Sherlock grabs onto Moriarty and pushes them both off the cliff right when Watson comes in. It is a perfect moment. Once again, I love how quiet the emotion is there. And I also do love the ending of the movie. Well, how did he survive? I don't know, but I buy into it enough, and how Sherlock just goes over to the typewriter and just adds a question mark so it reads the end. And then you got the music. It's just a great way to end the movie. You could make the argument that it gets overly convoluted, but I don't really agree. I do think it gets contrived in the bit with the opera house. I feel like that entire section could have been built up to better, and maybe I'm just dumb, but it doesn't make sense to me why you would shoot a guy to cover up his death in an explosion. Like, wouldn't the explosion get the job done? I don't know, maybe it just goes over my head, but whatever. I still really like the story for the most part, and I think it does have some real emotion. And the cast is once again great. I think Robert Downey Jr. just excels here. He brings this character to life so perfectly with plenty of charisma and charm, and he's just effortlessly great whenever he's on screen. Jude Law, I think, is even better in this movie. I think he does a really great job here. Then you've got Noomi Rapace, who I think does a good job. Nothing great, but never bad. Jared Harris, I think, was perfectly casted as Moriarty. I think he's great. He has a very classy menace to him. Stephen Fry, I think, serves his purpose very well. He's very entertaining. Rachel McAdams is good for the time she's in this movie. Kelly Riley's good, but she's in it a lot less here. And Paul Anderson I also liked. So, yeah, I really like this movie. I think Guy Ritchie does a great job. I think it's stylish. I love the action, whether it's on the train or the slow motion forest scene, and I love the scale of the last act with that building on top of a waterfall. It's just gorgeous to look at. I think the movie is very funny. It can be emotional. The plot is compelling. The characters are really well written. I love this movie. I think it's a total blast. So I'll give Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows an 8 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.